The history of the world contains moments which drastically alter the trajectory of mankind. Such events are so radical, remarkable, and magnificent that to even consider what the world would be like without them seems crazy. However, on our hit TV show, What Ifs of History, we attempt the impossible. We go back into these turning points of human history and explore what would have happened had they not occurred. So far this season, we have covered the Neolithic Revolution, the fall of Rome, the Great Schism, and tonight we will take a look at the iconic Gadsden Purchase. The Gadsden Purchase was nothing more than a land treaty between the United States and Mexico, where the U.S. bought land south of Arizona and New Mexico from Mexico so they could build the Transcontinental Railroad. The treaty took place in 1854, and the United States President used James Gadsden to be the negotiator of the treaty. The two countries were able to come to terms for the land, and the U.S. bought it for $10 million. This may seem like an insignificant event, but if you analyze it, the world we know today with all its progress and advancement would not be here. We are here to show you why. Welcome to What If, the Gadsden Purchase. The border with Mexico never solidifies, so there is constant violence in the American Southwest between Mexican and American settlers in the years leading up to the Civil War. While America is distracted in the Civil War, Mexico gains back most of the land lost in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. They arm the natives who inhabit the West with modern weapons and establish stronger alliances.
This land here, we need it for settlers.
Faced with a more united, better armed population of Native Americans as well as the Mexican army, settlement of the far west is much slower. Construction of the Transcontinental Railroad is delayed by almost 20 years, with the East and West meeting in 1888. Due to the delay of America's railroad system, the industrial boom in America that took place is delayed 20 years as well. America does not reach explosive heights of industrial power until 1911, 1912, as opposed to the 1890s.
Now engulfed in its own problems that stem from rapid industrialization, America chooses to sit out during World War I. Now, without America involved, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, and Austria-Hungary fight to a stalemate with the Allies, Britain, France, Russia, and Japan, which ends in a more equal treaty signed by the two exhausted belligerents.
Due to a more lenient, equal treaty, Germany and Italy slowly recover and try to rebuild alongside the rest of Europe. Without getting destroyed by the Treaty of Versailles, fascism doesn't emerge from the ruins of Germany, so Hitler and Nazi Germany never come to be. Because of America's continued isolationism, they never implement a Marshall Plan for post-World War I Europe. Therefore, Europe remains crippled for years after the end of World War I, and never regains the power it had before. Sensing this weakness, colonies across the world begin to seek self-determination. Still recovering from the First World War as well as the communist threat, Europe is unable to resist, and most of Africa and Asia become independent by the mid-1930s. America, with no World War I and no rise of fascism to combat, has no reason to become involved in a global way. Its imperialism never reaches beyond the Western Hemisphere. Due to no post-World War I boom and its delay of industrialization, the crash of 1929 never happens. America remains an isolated, increasingly more wealthy country with no desire to engage in globalism, you guys. This whole time, communist Russia has expanded across Europe, and by the late 40s, early 50s, Stalin has complete control over Europe. Europe, weakened by the First World War and with no ally in the US, falls at a rapid rate to the Red Army. America, with no precedent of helping Europe in fear of foreign entanglements, never sends aid and allows communism to seep into the Western Europe area, Asia, and Africa. Between the early 30s and into the 60s, America begins to resent the Republican Party for its extremist isolationist views. At this point, most Americans accept the fact that the USSR controls Europe and just want to trade again with them after isolationist policy led to economic downturn. However, the Democratic Party advocates for increasing political globalism in alliance with the USSR, which Americans view as far too extreme. Thus, the Libertarian Party, with its globalist economic ideals and isolationist political ones, skyrocket to power, establishing the second one-party system in American history. As America remains isolated politically, its economy is intertwined with Russia and the entirety of Europe throughout the second half of the 20th century. After decades of corruption, famine, and sometimes terror, Soviet countries across the world rebel against the Soviet government. The Union collapses, and with that, the world economy and safety goes down the tubes. The world plunges into chaos as civil wars and land grabs occurred everywhere as each country and people group vie for self-determination.
So scary. You were coming at me fast with a spear.
As demand for American exports plummet without the unified banking system of the USSR, the U.S. plunges into its deepest recession to date by the late 1990s. By 2005, unemployment still hovers around 20%. No work is to be found in the cities, and so people begin what becomes known by many historians as the Great Switcheroo. People begin to flood into the agricultural West and Midwest to take up subsistence farming in order to put food on the table. The fall of the Soviet Union turns the Middle East into a violent power grab. The Saudis take advantage in the region and take control of most of the Middle East. They cut off what was already limited oil exports to America. Clean energy demand skyrockets, and soon only a select few, the top 0.5%, live in energized communities called Edinas. The rest are stuck outside to fend for themselves. By 2015, over 99.5% of the American population is subsistence farming using horse and plow because oil ran out long before as America descends back into a dark age. About the Gadsden Purchase because I am the Gadsden Purchase.
Dun dun dun.